In summary, what are companies considering when they are making hiring decisions?
When you look at what companies are doing, it's really no surprise. They're really trying to understand where their demand is, how much demand is there, and then, of course, what cost do they need to put in order to satisfy that demand. And when you're looking at labor markets, that's a big part of the cost. So what companies are really looking at is that tension, that balance between demand is okay but not great, I need additional labor force, or maybe just a few add-ons to my labor force, but they're going to be careful. They're going to be careful because demand is really not at the level that is kind of puncturing any kind of sound barrier.
What differences do you see between the U.S. and other parts of the world?
Well, the U.S. actually has a lot of similarities with some of the more mature markets in Europe, and that is that the consumer is very much holding back. And when that consumer holds back, only certain parts of the labor market, hence those kind of industries that support more capital equipment and capital expenditures, would be improving. So the U.S. really is a recovery, a labor recovery within that kind of core manufacturing segment, as well as IT. When you go to the emerging markets where they actually have domestic demand, you get the consumer and the kind of manufacturing capital expenditure pulling through into that labor market. That's why you're seeing them at a much more robust hiring intention than what you would be seeing in some of the more mature markets.
What do the emerging markets look like compared to the more mature markets?
When you look at the emerging markets, they have a whole different kind of perspective. Those emerging markets are really looking at, I've got demand and I've got some of the skill issues. So what you're seeing in maybe some of the hiring that could be much stronger in the emerging markets is that they don't have enough talent to really satisfy some of the demand that's coming out or is being created by their own domestic markets.
In Europe, which countries are the most optimistic?
Well, Europe actually is kind of a multi-start-stop environment. You've got countries like Germany and Norway and some of the others in the Nordics that are actually doing well. You've got kind of the UK market a little bit kind of flatlining, not going badly or not going that extraordinarily well. And then, of course, you've got a few like Italy that are kind of in that zero territory as well. So Europe is a mixed bag based on how much they export and based on what is really produced within that country. Having said that, we see Europe still being kind of walking along the path of improvement, not running, but clearly walking.
In the U.S., what industries seem to be the most optimistic?
Well, it's interesting. We're actually starting to see some real push through in demand in the fourth quarter for hospitality. We're also seeing that coming out of the mining sector. So hospitality and mining are leading a lot. And then some of the core manufacturing. Again, a little bit more of that heavier, durable manufacturing that's going into some of the mining products, going into some of those capital expenditures that companies are doing to improve their efficiency and productivity in their plant sites.
So you have this survey. In general, what are you seeing and hearing in your business, and how would you sum up the environment?
This is a tough one because what we're hearing in one ear is most of our clients saying, it's actually okay. We're nervous. Our demand is all right. We're almost getting to the point of 2008 levels, those many companies are saying. So kind of pre-recession. But then you've got all of this noise and forces coming from the outside. So everybody is kind of hunkering down, only taking on the amount of employees or talent that they need to satisfy current, and then stretching that a little. And I think that's consistent across almost all mature markets.